It was just after sunset when flashing red and blue lights painted the cracked pavement of a quiet neighborhood street. Sirens wailed, doors slammed, and neighbors peeked from behind curtains. Police officers surrounded a small brick house, their voices sharp, their movements urgent. Inside, a 23-year-old woman named Alana Rivers sat at her kitchen table, still in her work uniform from the diner. She didn't know why the officers were there, but something about the way they pointed at her door, weapons drawn, made her pulse thunder in her ears. The knock wasn't gentle. It was pounding, commanding, echoing through the walls. Before Alana could even stand, the door splintered off its hinges. Shouts of "hands up" filled the air. Confused and terrified, Alana raised her trembling hands, staring at the muzzles of guns pointed at her chest. She tried to ask what was happening, but the words barely left her lips before her wrists were cuffed, metal biting into her skin. The neighbors outside whispered and filmed on their phones as officers dragged Alana out. A young black woman, barely older than some of the college kids down the street, shoved into the back of a squad car like a dangerous criminal. No one explained why. No one told her what crime they thought she committed. The only sound she heard was the slam of the car door and the hollow silence that followed. At the station, under blinding fluorescent lights, an officer finally spoke. "You're under arrest for the murder of Daniel Whitaker." The words didn't make sense. Murder? Alana had never even heard that name. Her heart raced, her voice cracked as she pleaded. "There must be some mistake. I don't know anyone named Daniel Whitaker." But the officer didn't look at her. He just shoved a paper across the table and began reading her rights. News spread fast. Headlines flashed. "Young woman arrested in brutal homicide." Mugshots circulated before her mother even knew she was in custody. Strangers online called her a monster, a killer, a predator. The story was simple, too simple. A black waitress from the wrong side of town accused of killing a wealthy white businessman found dead in his office late at night. People didn't ask questions. They consumed the narrative fed to them. But from the start, the case felt strange. Daniel Whitaker, 46 years old, was found shot twice in the chest in his high-rise office building. Security cameras had gaps, conveniently during the time of the murder. A janitor claimed he saw a black woman in a hoodie leaving the building. That vague description became the foundation of the entire case. The prosecution had no fingerprints, no DNA, no weapon. Just a blurry statement and the fact that Alana, miles away at her diner job, happened to walk home in a hoodie that night. In the interrogation room, detectives leaned in, their voices heavy with accusation. "We know you did it. You might as well confess now. You were angry, weren't you? You wanted revenge." Alana blinked through tears, shaking her head. "Revenge for what? I don't even know this man." But the more she denied, the more they twisted her words. Every pause became hesitation. Every tear became guilt. When her public defender finally arrived, Alana felt a flicker of hope, until she saw the man. Overworked, tired, juggling 20 cases at once. He barely looked at her file. "These things don't usually go well," he muttered, flipping through papers without meeting her eyes. "Best case, we push for a plea deal. 20 years, maybe 15 with good behavior." Alana's stomach dropped. Innocent, yet already being told to trade away her life. The courtroom was a theater. The prosecution painted Alana as a dangerous woman with a hidden temper. They showed her hoodie in a plastic bag, calling it the killer's disguise. They replayed the janitor's shaky testimony again and again. The jury, a mostly white panel, nodded along. Every detail was exaggerated, every doubt brushed aside. Alana's voice, trembling as she testified about her innocence, was drowned out by the loud, confident narrative of guilt. Her alibi should have saved her. Dozens of customers had seen her at the diner. The register showed her clocked in. Even security footage from the diner showed her wiping down tables at the supposed time of the murder. But in a shocking twist, that footage was declared inadmissible due to a supposed technical error in how it was submitted. The judge's gavel struck, And with it, Alana's strongest proof of innocence was silenced. Whispers grew louder. Reporters outside the courthouse said things like, "She doesn't look sorry," or "Her story just doesn't add up." Cameras zoomed in on her face, catching every nervous twitch, every exhausted sigh, spinning them into guilt. People believed what they wanted to believe. A story that confirmed their biases. A poor black woman must have snapped and killed a powerful man. Simple, convenient, believable. Then came the verdict. After only 3 hours of deliberation, the jury filed back into the courtroom. Alana squeezed her mother's hand, her breath shallow. The foreman stood. "We find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree." The room gasped. Alana's mother cried out. Alana sat frozen, her world collapsing. Life in prison. For a crime she didn't commit. The years that followed blurred. Gray prison walls. The clang of metal doors. Alana kept telling anyone who would listen that she was innocent, but the system didn't care. Appeals were denied. Evidence requests vanished in red tape. Journalists lost interest. The world moved on, while Alana's life rotted away behind bars. But then, 7 years later, something changed. A new attorney, a young woman named Rachel, took interest in Alana's case. Unlike the others, Rachel didn't shrug or push for a plea. She dug deep. She filed motions. She hunted for the diner footage that had been suppressed. She spoke to customers who still remembered Alana serving them pie and coffee that night. Piece by piece, the truth began to surface again. Rachel discovered something chilling. The judge who had ruled the diner footage inadmissible once received campaign donations from the Whitaker family. The prosecutor who pushed for conviction had close ties to Daniel Whitaker's company. The janitor's testimony. Coached, pressured, and inconsistent. Everything that condemned Alana was tangled in corruption, bias, and influence. The biggest revelation came from the suppressed security footage. Rachel finally obtained a copy, and in it, Alana was clearly visible at the diner at the time of the murder. Not only that, but another figure appeared in the high-rise building that night. A man in a suit slipping out the back stairwell moments after the gunshots. That man was Daniel Whitaker's business partner. The twist snapped into place like a puzzle piece. Daniel Whitaker hadn't been murdered by a random young woman. He'd been killed by his own partner in a financial scheme gone wrong. But instead of facing the scandal, the powerful network around Whitaker had found a convenient scapegoat, Alana. A young black woman with no resources, no protection, and a hoodie that made her fit the blurry silhouette they needed. When this truth finally reached court, the shock was electric. Journalists who once called Alana a killer now scrambled to rewrite the narrative. Judges shifted uncomfortably. Prosecutors offered excuses. But no apology could erase the 7 stolen years. Alana walked out of prison a free woman, but not the same woman who had been dragged from her kitchen that night. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed her again. Flashes blinded her. Microphones thrust toward her face. They wanted her anger, her tears, her story. Alana just stood there, her voice quiet but steady. "I lost 7 years because the system didn't see me as human. Don't tell me justice was served. Justice would have been never putting me there in the first place." The crowd fell silent. For once, the cameras didn't distort her words. They captured the raw truth. A woman wronged not just by one mistake, but by a chain of failures rooted in prejudice and power. The story wasn't about a killer caught. It was about a system exposed. A system that had twisted the truth so convincingly, millions believed a lie. Alana's name spread across headlines again, but this time as a symbol. Reminder. An uncomfortable mirror. People shared her story online with disbelief, anger, and shame. How could this happen? How many others had it happened to? The questions burned hotter than any courtroom spotlight. Late at night, Alana sat by her window, free but haunted. She thought of the years stolen, the birthdays missed, the laughter silenced. She thought of how easily the system had rewritten her life, how quickly people had believed the worst about her. And she knew one terrifying truth. If it hadn't been for one lawyer who cared, she might still be locked away, forgotten. The story ends not with comfort, but with a question that lingers long after the video fades. How many Alanas are still behind bars, waiting for someone to see the truth? How many lives are being rewritten by a system that chooses convenience over justice? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends so they can enjoy it too.